Welcome to the Coach's Corner. I'm Mike Van Hooser. In today's episode, we want to talk more about 5 things that leaders need to know, and we want to continue that conversation that we had on our Monday Morning Moments segment, and we'll post a link to that episode where we talked about one of these 5. But it's really important when you think about leadership that you know how to lead better, and that's what this channel is all about leadership and performance in sports, business, and life. And so today's focus is on leadership, whether you're a coach or a business leader or in some other aspect of life where you're trying to lead and influence people better. We want to help you get there. And based on our research and just working with leaders across sports, business, and life, there are a few things that come to mind when we think about things that leaders need to know and really get in touch with. On our Monday Morning Moments segment, we talked about one of those, and we'll continue that conversation today, and that people need to know that you care about them. So you need to know that you need to share that with them, your caring, your compassion, being able to connect with them. We talked about 3 different ways that you can show how you care about your people, and that's connecting with them kind of at a heart and head level, that you understand who they are, what motivates them, what inspires with them, and you connect from a relationship standpoint. When you're leading a group of people, it's important that you connect with them. You can't just issue out instructions or hope that they'll follow through on task or even guide and direct them in their career if you're not connected to them. And if they know that you care about them, they're more likely to receive feedback. So 3 ways that you can do that is to connect with them, to communicate with them, and then to champion or celebrate them. And those are 3 ways that you can show that you care about the people that you lead. And that's so important today. I mean, leaders need to show that they care about their people. And when you're leading a group of people or you're influencing a group of people, whether it be at home, in the community, or at work, you need to care about your people. We've gone through a lot in the last couple of years, and just as a society and as people, they're dealing with stress, more anxiety, more opportunity as well, I think, to come out of some of the things that we've been through, to grow in their career and really be mission-minded. But you've got to make sure that you care about them, that you understand where they're coming from, and then lead from that place. Lead from an authentic place that shows, hey, I care about you and I care about your growth and development. And I want to help you to be the best version of yourself. I want to help you to achieve your goals and maximize your potential. And when you do that, then you're going to become a more effective leader and a better leader in the process. And you're going to grow yourself as well. So, showing compassion towards your people, caring about your people is kind of the first thing of the 5 things we want to talk about today. The second thing I think is important for you to know as a leader is to know your strengths. I think that sometimes people don't know their strengths and they try to do everything. And as a leader, you can't do everything, but you can do some things well. And so knowing your strengths, and whether that's taking a StrengthsFinder assessment or working with a coach or just doing an internal assessment and asking people that know you well, hey, what do you see as my strengths? For people who are very self-aware, I think that you can look back on your career or themes in your life and identify what those strengths are. But it's important to know that. And I think not only looking at talents as strengths, but also what are you most passionate about, what energizes you. Because when you find that alignment between strengths and passions, then you're going to be able to live in that zone and be more effective in the things that you do as a leader. But it's important to know those strengths and play to those strengths as well. And we've done other topics around playing to your strengths, but it's so important that we do that and not just try to work on all of our weaknesses or some of the things that we can only marginally improve, but really as a leader, play to our strengths and not try to do it all. The third thing that's important for you to know as a leader is related to that is you need to know the strengths of your people. So the key question for you today is, do you know their strengths? You may know their names, but do you know who they are and what their strengths are and what their strengths are in the context of the team that you're leading? because you want to design plays if you're a coach in sports, but even if you're just a coach in the business world and a leader in the business world, you want to design an environment and assign tasks and create an environment where everybody's playing a role and they play to their strengths and they bring their best contributions to the table. And when you know the strengths of your people, you're going to allow them to bring the best version of themselves and also to contribute the most value and to grow in their careers by setting them up for success. And we don't want to set up our people for failure. We want to set them up for success. And knowing their strengths is really key. And again, whether it's a work style assessment of knowing what their strengths are, or just asking them or talking to them about that, or just observing them and thinking about what do they do really well. And we've also used the Berkman assessment as something to identify what the strengths of people are, and based on their different work style preferences and different components of how they approach work, how they're in tune with leadership and business and critical thought and other things like that. But using a formal assessment or using informal assessments, it's really important that you can get in touch with what people's strengths are. And we often say in our workshops that good leaders play checkers. Great leaders, it's like playing chess. You know the strengths of your people and you set them up for success, and you design environments based on that, because each person is going to have unique strengths that they can bring their talents to bear. And when you're thinking about it like chess, a great leader can be more effective and can be more effective in how they assign tasks, but also you can contribute the most to your organization by leading a team where everybody's playing to their strengths. They play the best roles and the best versions of themselves, and you're going to be more effective. The organization's going to be more effective, and you're going to have a more effective team when you know your strengths, but you also know the strengths of your people. A fourth thing is knowing the climate and knowing the pulse of the organization, knowing the morale, what's going on. And the best leaders that we find are really in tune with the environment. They know when morale is up, they know when morale is down. And the key thing is that as a leader, you've got to make sure that you're doing that. And it used to be easier because we were doing, more on-site project teams, but in the last couple of years, we've done more remote virtual work. More workers are wanting to do that. So it's sometimes harder to get a pulse of the organization when you're leading a virtual team and they may be in different places, and you need to make sure that you're keeping in touch with them. And that's not just a group meeting where you're asking everybody to turn on their camera and, see, okay, how are they doing? And they look like they're motivated, look like they're excited, energized. But it's getting in touch with them. It's having conversations with them. And in this hybrid work environment that we have, it's more important now than ever to understand where people are coming from and really take a pulse of that, because there's a disconnect often that happens when we're working from a remote standpoint, and you've got to do more and more hands-on engagement with that. And even though it might be virtual through the phone, through messages you're sending them, or through one-on-one virtual conferences with them, make sure that you're allocating time to do that, because that can be an important investment of your time to know how people are doing individually and collectively. And when you know the climate of your team, then you're going to be able to speak life into them better, because it's going to be more receptive, because you're speaking from a place of, I understand where you're coming from. I understand where, what you're going through, both individually and collectively. And here's what I think we need to do. And what can I do to support you in that process? And then a fifth thing I think that leaders need to know is to know your purpose. As a leader, do you know why you exist? Not only as a leader of this team, but just an overriding purpose, mission, calling in your life. And again, people are more likely to follow mission-minded leaders, purpose-driven leaders, than they are somebody who just is out to accomplish tasks and they're more transactional in their life, but there's not an overriding calling or mission in their life. And I know in the leaders that I've worked with and for, I've always been inspired by people who are inspired by a greater mission, a greater calling than, say, just getting the project done or getting it done on time. Where you're truly making a difference as a leader, then you're going to make a difference in the lives of people you're leading. So 5 tips today in thinking about the things that you need to know about as a leader. 1, you need to know that, people need to know that you care about them. 2, you need to know your strengths. 3, you need to know the strengths of your people. 4, you need to know the climate, get in touch with the pulse and the culture of the team you're leading. And then the 5th one is to know your purpose. And I think when you're knowing these things, then you're going to be a more effective leader, and people are going to see that there's something different about your life, and you're going to be more effective in their lives as well. So think about those things. And consider if you know those things. And if not, devote some time with the rest of the week that you have and maybe the upcoming weekend to get in touch with those things, maybe over the weekend, over the next couple of weeks, and then see how you can put that into practice. Once you know those things, take action on those, because you don't want to just have information or knowledge about certain things. You want to derive insight that then leads to effective action as a leader. Make it a great week. Continue to lead well and continue to be discerning about the things you need to know to become a more effective leader.